Welcome back to Culture and Code. I'm your host, Rayfield Johnson Jr.
And I'm Nina Arora-Rowland. Today's episode is inspired by the quote by our guy, Tony Stark again, this time from Iron Man. Sometimes you gotta run before you can walk. We're talking about one of the most exciting and sometimes nerve-wracking moments in your career, starting a new role or a new job.
Yep. It's important to remember that a new job isn't just a fresh start. It's a golden opportunity to reinvent yourself. Reinvention is an important aspect of growth. Both Nina and I have had the opportunity to hire hundreds of new team members at our company, which included thousands of interviews with people all focused on reinvention of who they were during that interview process. So, in today's episode, we're going to advise how to go about reinvention for new opportunities.
So grab your beverage of choice, settle in, and let's dive into how you can turn this transition into transformation. So a new job is like a blank canvas. When you start a new job or a new role, you're not just filling a position, you're shaping perceptions. People don't know your habits yet. So you have a unique opportunity to define your professional identity. Think about what you want to be known for, how you're going to show up, and what your boundaries are going to be.
Yeah, I mean, you can think of it as, getting new software update, right? In this instance, you're installing a new version of yourself, a version 2.0 or potentially a 3.0, depending or plus, depending on how many times you're going about reinventing yourself. In this case, it's important to ask yourself, what do I want to be known for? Is it, reliability? Is it creativity? Is it humor? Is it, the way you dress? Is it leadership? This is a chance to kind of really reset the tone of who you are to a new audience.
You know what's interesting? Every time I started a new job, I actually changed my wardrobe.
Mhm.
So I'd go from slacks with blouses, and then the next job it'd be dresses with heels,
Yeah.
and the next one dresses with combat boots, which is where I'm at now. But yeah, it's about total reinvention, and that also includes image.
Yeah.
So here's a quick exercise for everyone. Write down three qualities you want to embody in this new role that are going to help you in that new role. Maybe it's being a strategic thinker. Maybe it's collaborative or being innovative. And then align those qualities with the needs of the role, the company's culture, and your team's needs.
Yeah, those are very important, not just the company culture, but also your team's needs, right? Reinvention is an intentional motion. So you have to push through the opportunity with a clear mind of who you will be in this new opportunity. And the environment and the characteristics of that environment do come into play.
Yeah.
So if you're looking at, we're talking about reinvention, some of the tips, combat boots, right? Um, let's move on to practical steps to reinventing yourself. So, we will walk through some actionable steps in this, part of the podcast for reinvention. Starting with auditing your old habits. So you need to identify behaviors that held you back before. It's very easy to identify those when you think about what you may have been down on previously, right? Like lateness or overcommitting or lack of visibility, inability to get, things completed in time, right? So decide what you'll leave behind.
Yeah. And think of it as cleaning out your professional closet. If it doesn't serve you, and especially the new you, toss it.
Would you agree?
And then also it's an opportunity to start building your personal brand and revising that, evolving that. So update your LinkedIn headline to reflect what your new focus is. Share insights or learnings early to establish thought leadership as you stepping into this role.
Yeah. A very important tip for that is don't just post on LinkedIn just for the sake of posting. Yeah, and in all seriousness, you got to make sure you're adding value, right? So either you're posting or even if you're commenting on what someone else posted or even a repost, think about what you're putting out there into the world of LinkedIn, right? Or whatever, social media you're using to kind of get your message out. You want to make sure that you're posting with intention. You're posting with a clear mind of who that person is, like who you want to be in that at that moment, right? And then, share something that helps others. It shouldn't just be one-sided. It shouldn't be, look at how I finished this one certification from the Harvard Business School, like everybody else does on LinkedIn, right? Make sure it's intentional.
Yeah.
And then speaking about social networks and and networking in general, networking intentionality is a very important thing as well. So I think about, again, going back to the interviews we did. A lot of times, any of our interview process was actually preceded by someone actually doing a quick coffee chat. So when they did that quick coffee chat, they had FaceTime with us, at the time, usually remote. But we were key stakeholders in the decisions around what was going to happen next in their career. So they would schedule those coffee chats before they even went to interviews. They asked smart questions. They showed the curiosity that led for us to say, hey, yeah, let's go ahead and put this person through to the next interview.
Yeah. And here's the secret, right? Consistency. Reinvention isn't about one big grand gesture. It's about a series of small repeated actions that reinforce your new identity. Because again, you're trying to show up in the new version. So that's not a one-time one and done thing. It's you got to keep showing up that way and keep evolving. And, reinvention does start in your head. It's a mindset shift. You have to believe you're capable of change. We've all heard the phrase growth mindset over the past few years. This is just that, shifting your mindset to enable growth as we move forward into these new roles and new jobs. So take a moment to think about what lens you need to start looking through for that role and use that. And just like the quote which inspired this episode, sometimes you gotta run before you can walk.
Exactly. I mean, that's the essence of reinvention. Don't wait until you feel 100% ready. You'll never be 100% ready. Start acting like that person you want to become today, right? Be intentional about that. Prepare to be this new person. When you prepare, it'll help you shift into a behavior of becoming that new person, right? And make sure the new person is authentic, right?
Yeah.
So it's not about, doing, like you said, grand gestures, you know, big uplift in who you're going to be in this next instance. You don't want to do all of that. You want to just make sure that you have solidified who this person is going to be as they show up into this new opportunity.
Yeah. And, that's a great point about authenticity, right? And, to show up authentically requires confidence, a lot of self-confidence. So let's build that, right? And here's everyone's homework. Write down one bold action you'll take in your first 30 days in this new role. Maybe it's volunteering for a side project at the new job or part of your role outside of your comfort zone, or presenting at a team meeting about a topic that might not be as comfortable for you or familiar. So, one exercise I personally have used many times when I was dealing with imposter syndrome, which let's face it, that happens to all of us, it's to look yourself in the eyes in a mirror and say positive things about yourself, positive affirmations. Do
Mhm.
this for about 60 seconds every single day. Every single day. Let that be the first thing you do for the day because that's going to set the tone for the rest of the day. We all are so used to saying negative things about ourselves and thinking that we can't do something or we're not good enough or what if or I've never, you know, let's be positive. Let's shift it to being positive instead of negative. In no time, you'll be able to speak with yourself in a very positive way for a few minutes. And what does that do? Well, the most uncomfortable thing to do is to be honest with ourselves about ourselves.
Mhm.
And if you can do that, then you can be comfortable speaking to anybody. This is the first step to tackling the anxiety which comes with starting a new role or a new job.
Yeah, completely agree. Confidence comes from action, so not waiting.
Yeah.
Um, I do think about the times that I've interviewed people and their confidence came across through that interview and actually again it did push us to push that person to the next level in interviewing. I had one person come in and she was super focused on being the best tester possible. And we ended up hiring that person. And Nina, do you know what happened to that person?
Yeah, she never tested anything except your
Never,
patience.
except for my patience. Exactly. And furthered that patience into a podcast.
Yeah.
But in all seriousness, if you like what we shared I mean, we shared in this podcast so far, feel free to share it with us and let us know. We do take, feedback from the audience. We do appreciate everything that's been told to us to date. So if you're going to share it, make sure you put Culture and Code Podcast. That will make sure that we actually pay attention to it. So hashtag Culture and Code Podcast, and then whatever gripe and or happy comment you want to put against this podcast.
Yeah. And we're all always growing, right? So feedback is a very, very important part of that.
Mhm.
It's also part of reinvention is feedback. So starting a new job, it's not just about learning the ropes. It's about rewriting your story.
No, I agree. You got to pick your three qualities. We already talked about auditing your habits. We talked about taking bold steps, and then the reinvention is a big part of that, right? So as you're looking at how can I be the new person, right? The reinvention is it's a choice. You've got this. You got to have confidence. You got to be focused on this new personality, this new person that's going to come out of this reinvention because you're setting the tone not only for one moment of an interview, but you're setting the tone for, let's say, the company hires you, your existence at this new company, right? You want to be authentic. You don't have to go and backtrack things. So remember, you got this.
Absolutely. Thanks for tuning in, everyone, to Culture and Code. This is a labor of love here. We're very passionate about what we do and the people we impact and help along the way. So if you love this episode, share it with someone, starting a new chapter, and remember to use hashtag Culture and Code Podcast. Until next time, keep coding your culture.
All right. Bye.